people or 3 people from the audiences to come in and join us. Oh, I missed you. Ma'am, please come. We had almost 4 speakers, and then it'd be lovely to have you. And these are preschool. Been seeing them at ECCE for a very long time. So come, sir. I think we'll set one extra chair here. No, that's okay. So I'll just invite maybe 1-2 people from the audience. Like to join in? Come on, we need, come on, please. And one can take, and you can move after the first question. So we need people coming in for the different questions that we have. Come. Yeah, please. Anyone else? Anyone? You just have to join in the discussion. We're not going to ask you anything. Okay, feel free to jump in whenever you can. Okay, so quickly I'm going to ask the fishbowl participants to introduce themselves, the speakers. So I know Ravi has a huge profile, but I'd like you to kind of share with us. You're all leaders in preschool. So really, just your name, your current role, and maybe one thing that you'd like to give the audience in terms of preschool. Like what comes to your mind when you say preschool? A word, a phrase, a sentence. So that's another strategy you can go back and use in your classrooms. That's word, phrase, sentence, with anything that you're reading, with anything that you'd like children to notice. Okay, ma'am, shall we start with you? Bhaiya, aur ek mic hai? I don't know, he's not. You just pass it around. I think. Bhaiya, aur ek mic hai? Okay, start. Okay. So great. Sir, please, your name, current role, and one word, phrase, sentence that comes to your mind when you think about preschool.
Good morning, everyone. I am Pritam Agarwal from Bangalore, and I run a chain of preschool called Hello Kids. And what comes to my mind when I talk about preschool is, I started a preschool when I was young at 24. And I was thinking about, I have to get married first to run this chain of preschools now. So Sunita is here. And when my family said that it's now time to get married, and I said this is a time because nobody is really trusting me to give the young ones to me. So I must get married now. So this is how the preschool started with me, and that's it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sangeeta Kapoor. I am not heading any preschool. I head a K-12 school, Manav Rashna Sector 46. But what I can say is that my journey started with early years. So most of my, in India, when you have to head a school, your first qualification is that have you, taught the senior grades? So I have not. I've been primarily an primary and an early years teacher all my life. So my heart lies there, and that's why I'm in this session.
Hi, good morning. I'm Dr. Vasudha Neel. I'm principal of Rockwoods International School, Udaipur. I started my career as a special educator and specialized in early intervention. And we were the first ones to start Cambridge Early Years also. So yes, little ones are very close to our heart. And when I talk about preschool, for me, it is happy, engaged learners. That's it.
Thank you, Vasudha ma'am. Thank you, Mahera. I am Kavisha Khurana. I've come from Kanpur. We run a K-12 school called the Chintal School. And preschool holds very, very close to my heart. Why? Because if you have a strong foundation of a preschooler, only then can you move ahead with a strong foundation. If the foundation lays weak, or if the child is unhappy and he doesn't enjoy learning, then probably when he grows up, he'll find a little difficulty, if not much. So I believe happiness ensures learning in the pre-primary sector.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for being part of our fishbowl today. So again, for everybody who's just joined us, fishbowl is a strategy you can go back and use in your classrooms, where children can probably just talk about things. It could be a concept you've taken, anything. And in real scenarios, we actually have children who observe what the other children are talking and then come back and share their reflections. So there are various kind of fishbowls. Today we are doing an open fishbowl where we also have a participant probably joining in the discussion. Okay, so my first question, which you can start talking about. I think we can just do a quick round of what everybody thinks, so anybody can start talking. So we do have people from K to 12, and then we have preschool. So how do full-day preschool programs impact academic readiness compared to half-day programs? So there's always this little tussle between K-12 schools and the preschools. Some of them actually run till 3 o'clock now. So
See, what I understand is it's not the time that is important, and what you give in those hours is very, very important. It could be very quality 2 hours and then a full day of 6 hours and not having that quality. So especially at preschool level, what is really important is the socio-emotional well-being. That's the age where children are coming up with their milestones, and every child will have a different time of a milestone that he achieves. So what is very important is not the number of hours, but what goes in that hours and what kind of infra we provide to the child to be able to settle and learn in those hours is very, very essential, rather than just the number of hours. If there are extended hours and we don't have enough opportunity for the child to mentally, physically grow, then there will be a burnout, and we will see a delay even in the milestones and otherwise even in the cognitive levels of a child. So for me, it is what is going in those hours.
great.
For me, like, we also have a shortened learning hours when we compare to the primary school or grade 1, 2. So as name suggests, preschool. So for me, it is, little ones getting adjusted and readiness for the academic rigor. So the free play concept part is very important, how they are spending the time and how we are, the main aspect at that age is the socio-emotional learning. If they are, again I will say, if they are happy learners, and then only they will be engaged. So we focus a lot on that aspect.
When we talk about half-day school or full-day school, I feel that there are two things of the same coin. If the child is going back home and watching screens, if both the parents are working in a metropolitan city, then probably if the school has a nap time in between, then probably I would give full day a little higher number. If the child is going back is on the screen or with the helpers, or he has nothing to do at home, his mobile becomes his best friend, then I would give points to the full day school. If not, in a city like where I belong to, Kanpur, where the mothers or the grandparents are there to take care of the child when the child gets back home, the maximum learning comes from the grandparent. If the child is alone, even with the grandparents, there's so much of learning. He has more time to play when he goes. He can sleep. And restricting him to sitting in a classroom or even moving out, and then if the child is burnt out, then it's hands down there. So it depends on the scenario. It depends on the home. It depends on who looks after the child when he gets back home. So as I said, it depends a lot on the family.
Thank you.
See, I run a chain of preschools, and as we are all discussing about half day or a full day, for a business sense, we all talk about 2 hours, 3 hours, and 4 hours. But that is not the right case when we really think about a half day school and a full day school. This child has got too much of energy to spend, right? Till the time the child will not spend his whole energy, he will never have a good sleep, right? He will never be tired. He has to be tired before he sleeps. To have a good sleep, he has to play, and to have a play, he has to spend time with a area or a space or a friends, right? Socializing, we talk about it. Academically, it can be 1 or 2 hours, but physically, where we talk about free play or a guided play, it can be for 3 hours, 5 hours, and 6 hours. So in terms of half a day of a school or a full day, as Kavisha also said, if he's really getting a space to play, right, then it is fine, even it's home or a park in the evening. But trust me, if he wants to spend a time of 5-6 hours in a school as a free play with friends, it should be a full day program for a child.
Ma'am, would you like to add anything to this?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot that's been said for from the financial perspective, from the business side of it also. Yes, it is very important, like ma'am pointed out, how what you give to the child within, you can waste an entire day with the child for all you want, and you can give him all that you can in high quality in barely what 3-4 hours that you get. I also feel like dealing with kids of that age is takes a toll on the teachers as well. So when you say that you're going to have a full day till 3 o'clock, what about the teacher? The teacher's has reported at 7:30, right? So how do you expect the teacher to not sleep, not sit? I have teachers, I run preschool, so teachers barely get time, like 2 minutes to have their lunch. So I feel like what we give them high quality education within time that is reasonable to the teacher and that's reasonable to the student. So we need to really look at educators and keeping them happy. Like happy teachers make happy kids. Like you cannot have a burned out teacher and a happy kid playing around them. That's not how it works. So I really agree with what ma'am said and what everyone has already pointed out, that yes, we need to give them quality within that time and also keep the educators in mind. That's what I would like to add on. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Just like to add there, completely take your point. When we take off any school, whether preschool or a full school, keeping educators in the mind has to be at a top priority. And sorry, but I'm not taking you, I little disagree that, if a child is tired, the child will sleep. I disagree on that. We don't have to make a child tired to sleep. The child has to be meaningfully engaged to get to sleep. Or any one of us, we may not get a sleep if we have not had a good engaging day at work or whatever. So we have to ensure that whatever hours the child is with us has, even in the free play, is meaningfully engaged in the free play. We are not just letting him be because the teacher's tired as well. So we have to ensure a balance of that. A meaningful engagement of the child is very essential for whatever hours the child is with us.
Okay, so thank you everyone for the responses. So I think what really comes out of that first question is, I think purpose, people, time, and of course, what is really important is the spaces, right? So that brings me to the next question. How does the duration of the preschool day influence resource allocation, such as staffing, which you spoke a bit about right now, and classroom materials? So full day versus half day, how do you allocate, does it really make an impact, a difference?
See, when we are starting a school, so whether it is a preschool, whether it is the K to 12 school, we keep the children in mind. We keep those children. And of course, when we are talking about running a preschool, so we know that preschool will have a different kind of resources. And so if the mindset is there that we are starting a school, so of course we have 3 schools running, we have 3 preschools there, and we have best of resources for them. Of course, I agree with her that I also strongly feel that teachers have to be very happy and smiling when they are coming to the classroom, because that's what children look up to. If we have happy faces, or children, when we enter into the classroom, and if a teacher is sad, or teacher is something, she's walked down with something at home and she's coming, so children gauge that vibes, and they will say that, okay ma'am, what happened, why are you not smiling? So they are expressive with their teachers. And I have a strong belief a teacher can only give what she has to the children. So yes, again, rightly said that happy teachers make happy children. So I think resource allocation and everything is secondary. How to use those resources in that time period, and keeping students engaged, how they are doing it, that is very, very important. So any school that will start will have that in mind, that okay, I'm catering to these kind of learners, so I need to have those resources with them.
But I also feel when you said resource allocation, it is going to be different for a half day to the full day. Like she said that in case there are both parents are working, and if a child can have a nap in the school. So for a nap in the school, the word is very simple. What environment and what resources are we giving to the child for the nap in the school? right? We need to give the, the proper environment of sleep, the bed, everything. So that requires for, resources for a child to have that. So it is going to be very different for a half day versus a full day school, and then a full day school has to plan accordingly. If you want to give that nap to the child, then the refreshments, then the pantry, are we sourcing it outside? Is it third party? How can we trust the hygiene of it? What are we looking? We are very young ones that we are dealing with. So obviously the resource allocation then becomes very different for a half day versus full day.
Great. Let's hear some more inputs.
So, ma'am has already briefed about half day and full day. One thing when we talk about resources, I'm seeing many schools have a lot of smart classes and children are being engaged in it. I little disagree with that, because I'll just give you an instance what happened in our school. So we were talking about the future. So there was an art exhibition put up where one of the classes, probably grade 6th, and the little ones visited those classes. Classrooms today and classrooms tomorrow. So everywhere what the child painted of 6th, 7th graders, they painted the teachers being replaced by robots and stuff like that. It's a very natural thing which comes to a 6th grader or a 7th grader, that instead of a teacher, they'll draw a robot. The classes are something different. So when you talk to a 6th, 7th, 8th grader, they might say, there was a 50-50 thing when they responded, which classrooms do you like more? Do you like this one or that one? So the one who were very tech savvy, too much into gaming, too much into everything. So they all said, we like these classes, the new one. So there was a 50-50 response. It was only in the kindergarten that I just asked a girl, which classroom do you like more? She says, ma'am, this one where ma'am is standing. I said, why is that so? Why is that? So you do not want to study from robot? She said, no. I said, why? Because he said, my teacher cares for me. So cares for me, CARES, is such an important thing. And we need to take care of the carer, as ma'am also pointed out. So whatever we talk about resources, kya hai, kya nahi hai, but the foremost is that whoever is teaching the preschooler, they should care about them, and we care about them. That's my thing, that the resource should be focusing on the teacher and the child. Only then can a preschooler learn to its best capacity.
Adding to what she said, so there is a research that has been done. So that research says that will AI replace my job? So it's a website, and we were having a presentation few days ago. And strangely, that when we talk about journalists, when we talk about software engineers, so there was only profession of teachers that said that was less than 10% that this job will be replaced. So how many robots come in, how many we get the AI stimulators, prototype, but teacher will always be there with them. Yes, we need to, maybe it is not going into the other direction, but yes, we need to strengthen our teachers to use the AI in the right manner, because that's going to save. But like Ms. Kavisha said, that love, care, and trust me, that love, care is there in all the teachers. That's why we are teachers. But when it comes to the little ones, that is something totally different.
Absolutely.
That's different
Absolutely,
ballgame
yes.
altogether.
So would you like to add?
Not much, but yes, when we talk about a preschooler, a small young children in the classroom, we should be clearly define something called a accessible materials and the non-accessible materials, and where they should be easy access. This child should
Absolutely.
get it.
Absolutely.
That I need a color, so I am not being instructed or guided by my teacher to go and get that resources for my own use in the classrooms. So we should have divided in terms of, and explain it to the small young ones that this is the resources you are going to ask and take it, and these are the resources you can go and take anything and any time, and you go and get your work done. So that accessibility has to be very much easier for a small young child in the classrooms.
Awesome, thank you. So actually what now with the second question, I think the whole idea of accessibility, making our classrooms inclusive is so very important. And I think what they both touched on, I think no matter what the infrastructure of any school, I think teachers are at the heart of every school. You have good teachers, it doesn't matter. A full day also looks extremely engaging, or its half day also looks extremely engaged. I think they're at the heart of everything that we do at school. So great. I think looking at the time, we're just going to come to our last question. How does the amount of time spent in preschool affect the quality of teacher-child interactions? So we usually see 2 homeroom teachers or 2 classroom teachers, right? In kindergarten, you usually don't see that in primary. But in a full day, how would it affect? Because I think most preschool teachers come, it's like a half-day school.
See, I was doing my initial, I'm talking about the initial days almost 18 years back. So friends, let's understand these 2.5 hours of concert first. See, if we talk about an academic year, which talks about a 12 months of calendar year, what we think. But the school days is almost like 10 months, which is again 150 to 180 days, right? Out of 180 days, we have our assessment, 2 assessment, 3 assessments. So we cut down that 1 week of assessment for 3 weeks are gone. We have summer vacation, Dasara vacation, Christmas vacation. So cut down that days also. So we are left out with that 150 to 180 days in the school premises. Out of 180 days, if you see a preschooler attends almost 25% of the days the preschooler is absent from the school because of weather, because of parents, grandparents, because of he's not well, because of family functions, he's not in the school. 150 days are left out for these small young ones. Out of 150 days, there are 12 or 15 children in the class. Forget about the rural schools with 20, 25, 30 children in the class. Think about a standard school of 10, 12 and 15. And that 1 hour, see if a school is talking about 2 or 3 hours, academically 1 hour and non-academically it is 1 hour and another 1 hour of in, out, food and play and susu and toilet, whatever you can think about it. So when we talk about academically it's 1 hour and the class teacher is going to take care of 60 minutes of academics, each child gets around 5 minutes on daily basis. Am I right? 1 hour, 12 children. Academically, 1:1, what she is asking about is 5 minutes. And when we have 150 days, it is 750 minutes a year. Like, let's not take this discussion to a parent because he will calculate how much fees I am paying in terms of minutes. So we have only close to around, I'll say around 20 to 30 hours a day, 1-to-1 with the child. So how nicely that 1 hour to be spent, so that 5 minutes we should multiply by that 12 children, where that interaction should happen, that when this 5 minutes becomes 60 minutes for that particular child, then only we are there for 150 days, otherwise we are there in the school for 20 hours. That we need to understand, and that is how my preschool teacher has to be so actively participating, engaging all the children, not with cursive writing, not with writing, not with any other activities, but these 30 hours of interaction should happen between children, and that listening is very, very important. So that is my understanding to these hours and minutes.
So I completely agree there, but there's another angle to it which I feel especially for preschoolers. See, education is about human connect, right? And that's what Vasudha ma'am also said, that it's about human connect, and nobody can replace teachers. But at this particular age, a lot of learning also happens between the peers. It's not just the teacher and the student connect which is important. The opportunities we at preschool create for the students to learn from each other. And they learn better when they learn from their peers than they are when they are only listening to the teacher. So those kind of opportunities created within whatever time, whether half day or a full day, if we are able to create those opportunities for the preschoolers where they're learning from their peers, I think the learning takes flight, and it is at a different level.
Adding on to what Ms. Sangeeta said, so when we and as Ms. Prabha's presentation was there, so she spoke about metacognition, she spoke about think, pair, share, and when we start that very young with the little ones, we do that in our classrooms, then the impact of classroom is different. And again, I go by a lot of research work. So a research says that when a child is doing peer learning, So, or buddy-to-buddy concept learning is happening. So, whether it is at an early years level or whether it is at a high school level, the amount of retention on the concept of the child is 95%. So that's very important. So when we look into the classrooms and when we do these trainings also, so it's there. What does your classroom look like? What are the language interactions in the classroom? Is it teacher to student? Is it student to teacher? Or is it student amongst themselves? So that's very, very important. So yes, for me, as I always say, the teacher-student is just not about the academic contact time. It is an emotional well-being. Like at this point also, I remember my first class teacher who took care of me when I was in nursery. So and they also carry that throughout. So that's very important.
I fully agree with what Vasudha ma'am said, and adding on to what Pritam just said, academically, whatever his calculation is bang on right. But a preschooler does not only go for academics in school, as we all know that. Yeah. I am not disagreeing. I'm saying that his calculations were bang on. But the pressure a teacher has beyond academics is far more tiresome. Because when the child is on the playground, is he getting the turn? Is the shyest one also getting the turn? So it's not just one-on-one basis. And as a parent also, if my child goes to preschool, I'm not sending him to learn only the ABCs. I'm sending him to learn, is he walking in his, is he getting the turn? Is he talking to his peers? Is he not talking? If he's not talking, what's wrong if he's not talking? So those, and most of the teachers, I'll be very honest here, are not special educators, but still, they can make out if there's something different with the child. And if there is something with the child, is the parent ready to accept that my child has probably ADHD or my child is probably autistic? If you tell a parent your child has ADHD, he'll say, "Nahi ma'am, wo to bas naughty hai, abhi bachcha hai." So then you need a counselor, then the counselor comes in. But the first step is for the teacher to recognize if there is something right or something wrong with the child. So there are so many things which a teacher works upon. And when we talk about early years, academics is not only writing with a paper and a pen. She also told an example of her niece. It is all about playway learning and critical thinking. Prabha ma'am, you were very, very good. I learned so many things today. Thank you so much. So there were so many things a child can learn in this school. So I would just say, as we talked before also, that half day and full day resources are different. Teachers have, if you have a full day, probably the teacher needs to be different or the shifts need to be changed. But in a city like Kanpur, thankfully, till now, we do not need a full day school. Even if it's a half day school, it is never a half day for the teachers in school, definitely. The teachers have to stay back till 2:33. Even on the Saturdays when the children are not there, the teachers are always there because maximum work is done when the children are not there, whether it's making of the charts and everything, and I feel all of you would agree to it. So that's my take on it, that whatever a child does in pre-primary especially, teachers' involvement and the teachers' inspiration for a child is inspired by the teacher. As I said, I cannot forget that line what that child said. She cares because she is the most important element, and of course the peers.
So thank you, everyone. Yes, I was just going to throw open to the audience. Please drop in thoughts.
That was the most lovely year of my life. I taught at Strawberry Fields World School in Chandigarh. The most lovely year of my life made me realize how lovely children are. And I was teaching senior KG, so the same age group that we're talking about here. Two things. One, I think social interaction that we discussed over here is becoming extremely important. Nuclear families, the family dynamics have changed. When we were growing up, we had grandparents, we had cousins. Even during our summer breaks, when we would go to Nani's house and Dadi's house, there'd be so many cousins around. So we figured out what the social dynamics were, which is not happening for children now. They are stuck in their homes because mom and dad are working. They interact in school for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, and they come back to a house which is manned by a nanny who gives them everything. So our children are growing up in an environment where I think the social interaction that school brings is really, really essential. And I think you all are doing a phenomenal job of that. A full day school, I think from that perspective would be phenomenal because children will get to interact with more children and develop skills which are extremely important. The second thing is the teachers. I just want to share a short example, or actually my life, this thing. My son was 2.5 when he started school. We were in the US. He was an extremely social child. So when we started school, I was quite sure he'll settle in very beautifully, and that's exactly what happened. 2.5, he walked into school, waved goodbye, went and hugged the teacher, had a fantastic year. When he turned 3.5 and we moved to the next grade, the first 2 days my son went to school very, very happily. The third day onwards, he started howling. And a child who from being so social, loving school, same classmates, same school, I didn't know what happened. Spoke to the leadership in school. They said, why don't you come and watch the class? I was, like I said, in the US, so they were very open to parents being around and so on. I sat outside the class and I realized that the teacher was extremely loud and nobody in our house used to scream. My son couldn't handle that. Spoke to the leadership again. We ended up changing his class and he settled in beautifully again. So we had the debate of, should he learn to adjust at this age? But then the principal said he's too young to really adjust. Let's try changing classes and so on. So that's what we did. That's the impact that a teacher can have on a child. So I think the teacher well-being, like you all said, is so, so, so important. And once again, thank you to all of you for bringing up this generation, which is a really tough generation to bring up.
You know, just adding there, just a little point, it's not just about the teacher. Again, by the research, it says it's the environment that impacts the child at this age in particular. So as something as small as the sound of the fan could be very disturbing, and they are not able to express what is disturbing them. It's for us to figure that out, that, you know, what could be the reason. So even a sound of a fan could disturb the learning at this age. He or she is not used to that sound coming and has never heard, and suddenly in the classroom when he enters or she enters and hears that sound, could be very disturbing. I'd just like to add one more thing when she was saying about it's about knowledge. See, we all know we live in an era where knowledge is available at a click of a finger. If you want to teach a Pythagoras theorem to a grade 4 child, I don't think we are required. You can go to YouTube and put a step by step, and the child may learn, and there'll be number of worksheets and the child can practice on his own. Again, coming back to the same thing, the connect is very important at any age group, whether half day, full day. If a teacher is able to develop a connect with the child, and the child is able to also develop connect with the connects that he has within the environment, whether it is tangible, intangible, that's when the learning happens for any child.
Thank you to the speakers, and in lieu of time, I think we can carry on the discussion for lunch. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So just moving on to the next, Sangeeta Kapoor. We also have a feedback form. Everyone who's here, please scan that. Is this Miss? And then, of course, we've also got Miss Prabha.